On this Junior's Gasoline Alley, we're doing a bit of a repair to my wife's Rival MT10. She was out having a whole ton of fun and bashing around on 3S. And you know what happens when you start running the big batteries? Well, in this case, we lost a wheel. So all that actually happened was the axle snapped. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to replace the old axle like this guy that's broken and no more and get the truck all back and running. It's a pretty quick and easy process, but we'll get it done together. So here we've got the axle, and basically what happened is you can see the end of this, which is what would hold the wheel on. This slides right in through the hub carrier, and that came off and broke, which allowed her wheel to come totally separated from everything. Well, all we really need to do to get this replaced is basically the axle itself on the outdrive from your differential is going to have a small screw that we need to undo, and that's going to allow this to come out. And then we should be able to just do a quick unbolt of your upper tow arm, and that's going to allow us to get into here. So we'll start off with a 1.5 millimeter, which is going to go into that grub screw there. And we're just going to go lefty-loosey. It's going to open it up, hopefully enough. We might need to go a little more. Yep, looks like a little more to go. And that would explain why. So this grub screw, I'll grab some pliers so you guys can see. But basically this grub screw has a pin that goes all the way through. There we go. You can see that there. It's threaded pin, and that's what's going to go through. And so now we should be able to just pull our axle right off, and that's where that little grub screw is going that I was talking about. So right into there, that slides through and connects up to the outdrive on your wheel. So now the next thing to do is we've got to start to take apart this part of our hub. So we're taking that top tow arm off. I think that's going to end up being a 2 millimeter it is, and then a 5.5 millimeter on the other end. So basically we're going to hold that 5.5, unscrew these two. That's going to have a little nut come off from one side, then you've got the bolt comes out, and now that whole thing opens up. So with that open and out of the way, we can take our new package, which I'll have this and the tools linked in the description below. Take this out. With that out, we're going to have a little bit of assembly to do. So we'll get everything cut open. Now it's nice because the kit comes with new bearings. We're not going to need that. This truck is pretty new, and everything else required. But basically here we can start to install some of this stuff. So you're going to take your axle, slide the hub in, and you need to make sure that the keying, that hole, is going to match up with the hole that's right here. So if that's not in there properly, it's not going to slide together like you want. And after you slide it in, you need to make sure that that hole is starting to stick through. And in my case, it's not quite just yet. So what I'm actually doing is I'm going to use the axle nut on the wheel and just tighten right down, and that should help out. Put that in, use our little nut right on top. Start screwing those together. What's going to happen is while you're screwing that together on the back end here, it should pull that through. Let's pop this out. See what we ended up with. Look at that. The hole lines right up. So then you can get it started with one of the pins. So now we've got to work on the universal joints. And for those, it's going to be a little bit tricky because the way it comes, the universal joints are pre-installed together. So you kind of have to figure out how to get these rotated in out of the box, so that way they can go together. So this is a little fidgety, but bear with me, it'll get put together. We'll get one side slid in kind of like that, and then hopefully we can press that in. Did allow us to do that. And then with a little twist of the screwdriver, we can now get that put together, and you'll see this is now together. So once we've done that, we need to grab our next piece, grab the little tube, and same idea here. So we'll get just like so. See how that's started to be slid in. We'll take our tool, just make sure we get that seated pretty well and good. And now we can use a little flat blade screwdriver here. You got to be careful. I keep accidentally stabbing my thumb. So just be careful while you're doing it on your own truck. Press that up. Okay. So you see that? It's just started to slide in. So now you just gotta help make sure it makes it all the way. There we go. And then it snaps into place. And once you finish that with this guy, you're just gonna do the same thing with the other one. I'm gonna reuse my original because it's still good. Might as well let her break that one before we replace it. And these are gonna be keyed in a specific way. So there we've got the key, they're gonna slide together. And at this point, you want to make sure your grub screw is out, but we're going to slide the axle right back onto the truck, just like so. And because this is metal on metal, I highly suggest using a dab of Loctite. I'm just going to use some from the side. Then you can take your grub screw and the 1.5 millimeter wrench, screw that back together till the grub screw is flush with the plastic ends. Then you'll make sure you get your keyed axle put on back in the proper slot. And then now all you got to do is slide the axle through just like so, and you see that telescoping effect. That's all working properly. So we'll take our tow arm and get this lined up. Make sure you put it back in the same position as what you had it before, so the geometry on the so the alignment on the rear stays. And these are a little lock nut, but because I took it off once, it's not going to be in perfect shape. And since it's metal on metal, just a touch of Loctite, don't need a whole ton. It's going to go on. Those should thread right together. Again, we're using a 2 millimeter with 5.5 hex. Put those on, just make sure that suspension cycles just like it should. And just like that, it's all done. So it did take a little bit of finicking with the universal joints. That was a bit of a pain on these, but otherwise it installed really easy and the truck's ready to rip again. So hopefully that helped you out. If it did, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And of course, if you have any questions, be sure to leave those down below. I'll do my best to get back to you. And the last piece is, go ahead, hit the subscribe. That way we can go out on the trail again soon.